Hello and welcome to Sansad TV. You're watching Viewpoint with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. Well, red flagging the rising rates of obesity and hypertension among school-going children. A new study by the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, has found that the prevalence of obesity was as high as 24% in private schools, more than 5 times the number for public schools. This is particularly concerning since both of these could be risk factors for diabetes and heart disease in their adult years. According to the study, which looked at 3,888 students of Delhi schools aged between 6 and 19 years, an average of 13.4% students were found to be generally obese, while 9.2% had belly fat-related obesity. This is a sharp rise from the findings of a similar study in 2006, which had pegged the prevalence of obesity at 5%. In this edition of Viewpoint, we will analyze the dangers of obesity and hypertension among students and how to deal with this issue. Joining me on the program today are Dr. Madan Gopal, Health Sector Expert and Advisor, National Health Systems Resource Centre, and Dr. Bishnu Prasad Panigrahi, Group Head, Medical Strategy and Operations, Fortis Healthcare. Thank you to my guests for joining me on this edition of Viewpoint. Dr. Panigrahi, let me start the program with you first. Let's first try and, put into perspective how serious this problem really is. A survey conducted by AIIMS has said 24% of the students between the age groups of 6 to 19 are either obese and suffer with hypertension as well. A serious problem, isn't it?
It's a very serious problem. In fact, as we are working on our Viksit Bharat march towards that, and we keep talking about our demographic dividend, I think so this is where it is hitting us the most. And when you look at, you rightly said, when you look at schools now, I have 4 grandchildren, they study in 2 different separate schools. When I go to the schools, I see the number of obese children, fatty children, than what it was when my daughters were studying in the same school. So it's just a stark a contrast that is there. And this is all to do with multiple things, the food habits, I think. So that's the most important part, the junk food, the sugary drinks, lack of exercises. You don't see children playing. I studied in school. I remember at 3:30, if I was not on the playing field, I used to be punished. So it was for each and every one, we had to go and play. So these are small things which do matter. And I think so the most important thing is the food habits, taking sugary drinks, lack of exercise. And the other thing which actually is the killer, which no one talks about, is the screen time that is there, because children are now also addicted to this laptops and mobile phones, that they play on that and they don't go out and play. So it affects them on 2 ways. One is lack of exercise. You see, then their eyesight gets damaged there, and brain development also gets retarded, because school time is the most important part. So I think that this is something that we as a nation have to start looking at it, and we have to target the schools. I think having sessions at the schools, encouraging the parents and teachers on what to do and what not to do will be the way forward.
Absolutely. Okay, let me take the points that you're making forward and bring in another aspect as well. Dr. Madan Gopal, interestingly, as far as the study is concerned, it clearly indicates that, children that are in private schools seem to be facing a far bigger problem than those who are in the public schools or the government schools. So clearly an indication coming through that, the more we progress, it seems like, the more we are susceptible to such lifestyle diseases, really from a very young age. A few years ago, these things were considered to be for those who are beyond a particular age, but now it is starting as early as 6 years of age. How do you look at that?
It's quite disturbing, because when we rolled out this national program for non-communicable disease, the whole target was to screen the young adults, that means 30 plus adults. Now this is the second of its kind. When these studies come, they say that the children, school-going children, they are affected by this. That's quite concerning, because the private schools 5 times more than the public school, the obesity. It's not the obesity alone. If you talk about, along with obesity, there are other diseases also. Hypertension, because hypertension was not known. That's why we have not included them in our screening program. Now, with this study, I think that would be having an implication key. We have to include them in the screening program as well. Apart from that, the metabolic syndromes which is coming, that means the person is uh, the BMI would be normal, but he would be metabolically obese. That means that kind of trend is there. If you look at it's not only per se limited to the private institutions or private schools. In the private schools, you can say that the cause could be more affluent, but in the public schools also, if you look at the way the street vendors and other things, they also push in the saturated fats and other things, though they would be thin, but metabolically syndromes are there. Besides that, we have a challenge of undernutrition versus the overnutrition. One way we are trying to support address the issues of the undernutrition through midday school program, the school health program. The other way, now we are now dealing with the issue of the overnutrition. This would be having. Besides that, the thin fat syndrome, which we have been always talking about, metabolic obese and normal weight, that's another cause of concern. We have to see that how we address that issue. One way we are saying that we are the young population having an average age of 22, 28. So this is the youngest population in the world. But if our young population, which obviously would be the productive population, if they are obese, what kind of productivity we would be having? On the converse side also, the undernutrition is there. But we won't be talking undernutrition, but the overnutrition also, what kind of productivity they would be having if they have hypertension and diabetes. And when the person is having hypertension and diabetes, they have to have a lifetime treatment plan for them so that they can live a very productive life. That means a lot of concerns are there, a lot of stress will be there on the economic productivity of that particular individual. And as a result, as my previous panelists have mentioned, the Viksit Bharat, when we are looking at the dream and the aspirations of moving towards the Viksit Bharat, we should be having a healthy, productive, economically sound demographic dividend, so that the contribution of other things can happen.
Absolutely. Points very well taken. Demographic dividend is something that India has at this point in time. But if we do not work towards it to ensure that we have a healthy and a fit population, then that demographic dividend might not be as useful as we hope that it might be. Taking the discussion forward now, Dr. Panigrahi, let me come back to you. Let's also try and understand another aspect, as far as obesity and hypertension amongst children or amongst students are concerned. Is this damage, or how do we reverse this damage that has already been done? How long lasting can this damage be? Are there remedy measures?
Remedy measures has to start at the school level. There's no doubt about it. And as I earlier mentioned also, is that we are taking too much of processed food, the pizzas, the burgers and all that. So these things actually, they are the ones that are harmful. And they have more salt content. That's another cause for the blood pressure rising. And if you look at it, the leafy, greeny vegetables and fruits that are not being consumed in sufficient quantities, because fruits has a very important part of preventive as far as when you look at hypertension, because fruits have more potassium. Potassium counteracts sodium. Sodium is the one that when it collects water, and that's the reason for the hypertension coming up. You look at an island called Okinawa, the incidence of hypertension is the least because they hardly take any salt, and the main diet is leafy vegetables and fruits and fish. So our diet has to come up. And you rightly mentioned about the public schools and private schools. A stark contrast, which you can see with your eyes. We just go to any public school and private school, just stand for 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes. You'll see in the public schools, they come in cars and buses. In public schools, they come walking or in a cycle. So what I'm saying is, again, dietary habits, exercise, and they have to play. This is something that unless we do it, we are going to increase our obesity levels, increase our hypertension incidence, and this is going to hit them at the most productive time, but which are calling the demographic dividend, when that 25 to 40, which is something which will be the core of the Indian Viksit Bharat's economic engine. So I think so. I think so. Thank you, Sansad TV, for bringing this up. And this is actually, I will not call it epidemic, but it is like a pre-academic level that we're looking at.
So absolutely, I think both the panelists have very clearly said that this is a serious concern, a concern that needs to be looked at the earliest, because this can have long-lasting impact on society. A very quick follow-up question, since we are here, Dr. Panigrahi, I just want to know and understand that, can the damage be reversed, or is, irreversible damage been done as a result of what has already been done amongst the students?
Seems better the school students, they have a very pliable body, and that's why I'm saying if you have to take care of them, school is the target audience, target area that we should look at.
Absolutely.
And if you can start inculcating, having eating more vegetables, more fruits, exercise, most important is avoid the junk foods and sugary drinks, and exercise, walking, cycling, or playing. And I think the schools also start looking at it, because I studied in a boarding school. It was mandatory from 3:30 to 5:30. We have to be on the field, whether we are good at sports or not good at sports, immaterial. So I think so there's something that schools also needs to start doing it, whether it's a public school, private school. But I think so as a society, we should not be putting everything on the government, because the government is an enabler. I think the society has to take charge of it. I think so the schools, we have to take charge, take care of them, the parents and teachers, and that's the target audience. We should educate them and see that the children follow.
Points very well taken. Okay, Dr. Madan Gopal, let me come back to you now. Let's look at it from a different perspective. Do you believe that eating right, eating healthy, exercises, staying fit, etc., needs to be one part of the curriculum really as far as schools are concerned? Secondly, do we need more information being put out there to ensure that we tell the students or the children directly and make them well aware and educated about how you need to eat right, how you need to sleep right, and also play right, so that you don't suffer later on in life?
Frank, there are two questions which you have asked. They are very important questions, but we have to go back a little bit. The whole of the awareness regarding this right food, what to eat right, what is right food, it comes from childhood when the feeding practices starts. Have you ever noticed that what kind of feeding practices we are inculcating among our children? If you look at any, you just see that how mothers nowadays, especially working mothers, they are feeding their children. If you go to any place, even in the public places, how they are feeding the children, they just give them a mobile, and the child would be looking at the mobile, watching a reel or something, watching a animated movie, and the child just takes the food, and the food feeding is over. Previously, the child used to be glued, to be motivated to take food, the importance of the food, and other things were cultivated from them. And that habit usually comes to the school level also. Because for the ease of thing, many of the things have come into our system. That means we want to have a high fat, high sugar, high salt content food, because they are very palatable. If you look at the fast food joints and other things which are coming up, these are all come up because they have a high fat content, they have a high sugar content, they have a high fat content, and that is more palatable. We have to see that how the home cooked food or any other food which is there, which is of, as Panigrahi ji has mentioned, that a society doesn't have a hypertension case because they are not taking any salt. Salt is not required, because if you look at the things, most of the salt usually we can imbibe it. No additional salt is required. But salt makes the thing palatable. It starts from that family level. That means how we teach the child when he is growing up, so that he inculcates good eating habits and a good food is being offered, and what is good, what is not good, that is being taught. Now we come to the school. In a school, lot of things are there. Previously, there used to be a physical training school, and it was very mandatory. So sports activity was mandatory. But with the pressure on the performance during the exams, all the schools, they are only bothered about the TRPs of the school. That means how the students they have scored in the board exams and other exams. That kind of TRP they are usually pushing. As a result, at the expense of the physical activity class, which was important. The third thing is, when all these things are there, at least we can make the big pro, because damage, whatever damage in the habits have happened, but it's not a thing that we can't come back. We can always come back if we are able to provide more information, make the people more aware, and in fact build the capacities of the peers as well as the teachers to at least guide the students ki what to do. And many of the, it's not that the private institutions and the school, they are not aware about that. In fact, if you go to many private institutions, they have recognized this problem, and in fact since 5-6 years down the line, as I remember, they have started strict menu for their student. They say that only this thing you have to send with the student, and the students are encouraged to eat that kind of food. The canteens and other things which are coming in the school, they are also been having a fix, and all the food is to be consumed as per the advice of the dietitian, because many of the with the influence diseases are coming, they are also coming with the solutions as well. That's one part of that. Second thing is how to make the curriculum more effective, because once you are able to raise the awareness, so we have to see that the awareness also fits into the requirements of the curriculum and other things. Previous curriculum was exclusively having the physical activity class, and that needs to be compulsory. It should be no negotiation for that physical activity class, and we have to see that that is implemented. Besides that, one of the important things, intervention which now been pushed is the school health program, because Niti Aayog has also been piloting the school health program, because we have recognized the need that the good food, good nutrition, as well as the good health of the school children, ultimately they will be becoming the future citizens of the country. That's why the school health program is now quite emphasized, and in which right from the sugar boards, that means labeling that what are the high sugar foods, which are like sugar boards, are being promoted, so that the school would have to display a sugar boards, and that kind of interventions are happening, so that awareness activity is there, and the students are not encouraged to eat the food containing the high fat, high sugar, and the high salt. That is also encouraged. And side by side, during the period parent-teacher meeting, I think it needs to emphasize on the need for reducing the salt content, the fat content, and the sugar content.
Absolutely. I think medical advice is really required in schools as well, and medical practitioners should be taken on board to try and explain to the children what really is required and what they must be doing and what they must not be doing. Okay, since we are here, I'm going to be playing devil's advocate, Dr. Panigrahi. I think both panelists have spoken about screen time and how screen time is a major problem and a major issue really as far as these two, obesity and hypertension, are concerned. Now, like I said, playing devil's advocate, let's not forget that these children today have been born into technology, and technology has taken over every aspect of our lives, and it only seems scarier that we're only going to see more of technology in the near future, and when these young children grow into adults. So from that perspective, how easy or difficult is it to to ensure that we keep the children away from technology, screen time, etc.?
I'll answer this. It's not an easy solution, and it's a technology. The world is evolving, and we can't keep them away from that. I think so. What we should put on the table is the self-restraint, to say that this is the time that you should look at as far as screen time is concerned, because the deleterious effects of screen time is that your brain development happens during childhood. So that's why if you read, your brain is much more excitable and it develops properly. Whereas if you're watching on your laptop or your mobile, it's an idiot box. So the development of your brain is sort of retarded, and that's number one. Number two, because the longer they say, their sleep time comes down. If you look at kids now, very often they're late into the night they'll be watching, and the sleep time comes on. Lack of sleep is another cause of obesity and hypertension. So I think so. While it's a difficult task to do, but somewhere we have to draw the line, and this is where again the parents, teachers, and it's a continuous conversation. Like Australia now, they have made it very mandatory, and I think so. I think we should start looking at it from that perspective. because just saying that healthy diet, fruits, activities, but this screen time is something that we have to take it head on.
Absolutely. Dr. Madan Gopal, coming back to you now, as far as this particular issue is concerned, you touched upon it in your earlier remark about how parents are both working. It becomes difficult really to take care of the child's needs and take care of what exactly needs to be done. Gone are the days of a 9-to-5 job really as far as parents are concerned. Parents too are working rigorously trying to ensure that they give the best to their children. So in such a kind of an atmosphere, such a kind of an environment, is there really a solution? What could be the best solution?
It's a very complex issue because the moment you talk to any working parent, they will say that how to manage this child. Because the work pressures are so much that they just want to finish this as a job. They don't take it as a responsibility, they take it as a job. That means I need to feed my child, I will just finish that job and that's it. They should be talking to the child. They should be making him aware about the food what he is consuming, though it would be a labor intensive. But if with parenting, it comes responsibility also. It's not that you can only say that I've just brought that child and I'm just taking the task and I'm completing the task. We have to see that how we groom these parents and say that you have to take care of the feeding of the child because you are creating the future generation as well as future citizens of the country. Otherwise, what will happen in the later ages? They have to fight for diabetes, they have to fight for hypertension, they have to take care of this child, and it becomes a liability on them. If they start understanding that they should not be creating liabilities, they will be moving towards a responsible behavior. You have to first start a responsible behavior and responsible parenting so that the absent time, because if you look at any of the children in the fast food joints also, they are only glued to the mobiles or the TV screen and unconsciously consuming all the food as if they are dumping the food into the stomach. And that kind of habit needs to be. It's not that it's only some efforts would be required. Whenever you are eating food, just close your mobiles and close your laptop. Just focus on your food and eat it. It's just a simple exercise, simple conscious effort. I think that will make a lot of difference.
Absolutely.
It's not that we can't be.
Can I come in here, Mr. Perra? Can I come in here, boss?
Yes, please do.
I think a very fundamental thing is at least for dinner, the parents and children, they should eat together because without touching the mobile, because this is the place where you can converse properly, you can guide your children properly, they will be more attentive. And as they say, a family that eats together stays together. So I think so to inculcate healthy habits, I think so it should start at the dining table.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly, sir. Exactly, sir. We should be doing that way because my observation has been that we unconsciously consume it. We just gulp it and dump it. Our stomach is not a dumping ground. In our culture, we say annam brahmam. That means whatever we are eating, that will become atti mas macha. That is going to become bone, blood, and flesh. So you have to see that when you are consuming such a thing, annam brahma, so we have to see that how we bring back that kind of cultural thing which we are having, so that we start respecting food. The moment you start respecting food, you will always indulge in conscious eating rather than unconscious eating. We have to move from unconscious eating to conscious food eating so that this problem has been taken care.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, we'll have to leave it at that. I think it's a great note to leave this discussion on. Annam Brahmam is one aspect that Dr. Madan Gopal is bringing up, and also another one is water has memory and food has water, so it keeps going all over the place. So please ensure that you eat right, eat consciously is the message that is coming through from both the panelists. Dr. Madan Gopal and Dr. Panigrahi, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on the program and sharing your views and putting things into perspective for us. What's coming out of this discussion is that you need to eat right, eat consciously, because that is the most important aspect. Everything that goes in has memory and it also nourishes and enriches your body. So eat right and eat well. Don't worry if your child is obese or is suffering from hypertension, because it is not like damage is done forever. This can be reversed. Just ensure that you follow the right things that need to be done. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Viewpoint. This is Frank Rausen Pereira signing off.
To watch more programs of Sansad TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share them.